Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to be continuing on with our iOS development using UIKit tutorial series. And in this particular tutorial we are going to be taking a look at the UIStackView and how we can use it to stack views on top of each other and provide spacing between those views and stuff like that. So let's get started. First off, let's take a look at our starting project in Xcode. So I have a couple things. First, I have an array of colors. So we have 12 different colors that we're going to stack, that we're going to use to color some UI views. Now, in our configure, let's see here, let's see, which method is that? It is not the configure stacks. It's the configure color views method. We are simply, what we're doing is, let's kind of give this a little bit more room here. But what we're doing is we're pretty much looping through our array of colors using a for in loop, where I is our index, and we're essentially creating new UI view objects as we go along, and setting their background color and stuff like that. However, what you probably notice is that we're not setting translates, auto resizing, mask into constraints for these UI views or anything like that. We're not adding them as subviews to the view. And the reason for that is because these color views are going to go inside of our stack view. And when you put views inside of a stack view, you don't need to allow for constraints. You don't need to, you don't need to explicitly add them to the normal view as a subview. You just need to add them as what's called an arranged subview or an arranged view into the stack view, and the stack view will manage the layout of your views for you based on the values of different properties that you assign it. So let's go ahead and create this stack. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to say var stack equals UIStackView, like so. And so now we have our stack view object. Let's go ahead and inside of the configure stacks view, we were gonna have two different stacks here, but I decided against it. All right, so inside of our configure stacks method, what we're gonna do is we're going to say stack.axis equals dot, and then we have two different options to choose from, vertical and horizontal. Now, why are we setting the axis of our stack view? Well, our stack view needs to know what orientation we want to stack our views in. Do we want to stack them vertically? Do we want to stack them horizontally? In this case, for now, we're going to set it to vertical. We'll take a look at horizontal in a moment. All right, so let's go ahead and say vertical. Now, The next thing we're going to do is stack dot spacing equals, and let's say there's 25 units between each color. All right. So in between each color, there'll be 25 units of spacing. We can say stack dot. Now alignment allows us to specify how they're aligned in the stack view itself. So like, are they do they go along the leading edge, the trailing edge, the center, whatever? However, you will need to define a specific frame if you want to work with these, I believe. But the default fill, you don't need to worry about it, right? It'll fill all the available space based on other properties. So we'll just leave the alignment alone. Distribution, and we'll set that to let's see here. We don't want equal centering. We don't want equal spacing. We want fill equally. So what this will do is it will fill the entire space of the stack view, minus any spacing. So if you have spacing, it will respect it. And so other than the spacing in between the views, it'll make sure that everything fills up the stack view as it needs, depending on how much space it's taking up. And that's all for the stack view specific properties that we need to configure. Now we need to actually allow for programmatic constraints, and we need to add it to and we need to add our stack as a subview. So here we can say stack dot translates auto resizing mask into constraints is equal to false. You should be able to get this code by now. It's relatively simple. Then we'll say view, add subview, stack, like that. All right, cool. Now with that, we can make one more modification. We need to add each of our color views to the stack view as an arranged subview. So if we go to our configure color views method, here inside of our for loop, we can say stack dot add arranged, add arranged subview. We can say color view, like that. And so now all of our color views are being added to the stack one by one as it goes along. Now you could, if you wanted to, you could also just use the higher order for each function on the array, and that would work fine. But that might introduce, depending on how big the array is, it might introduce slightly worse performance. So I chose to do a for in loop instead. So we're not creating a completely, so we're not like kind of doing other stuff that we shouldn't have to do. Now, if you were doing like filtering and mapping, that would create a whole nother array, but that's besides the point. Either way, it works. So let's go ahead and run our code now. And there we go. There's all of our colors in the simulator. You can see them all stacked on top of each other, and they span the entire width of the stack view with all the spacing in between them as we specified. And that's great, right? What if we wanted these to be horizontal? And for what we have right now, let's rotate the phone and see what happens with it. You can see it changes slightly, right? The color views are a little bit thinner and all that stuff. So let's go back into our Xcode window, and we'll go down to our constraints. We're going to modify the constraints a little bit. All right. So what we want here and we will. So what we'll do is we'll get rid of our center X anchor. Okay, yeah, and we'll keep our top anchor. We'll keep our bottom anchor, but we will not keep our width anchor. All right, and we're going to apply a leading and trailing anchor instead. So we're going to have it take up the entire safe area, and you'll see why here in a second. So stack dot leading anchor dot constraint equal to view dot safe area layout guide dot leading anchor with a constant of 20. All right. We could also have it be 0. Let's actually do that. So 0. Or we can just get rid of constant entirely. There we go. And then we'll say stack dot trailing anchor dot constraint equal to view dot safe area layout guide dot trailing anchor. All right. And we'll get rid of constant. And we'll get rid of constant for this as well. All right. So now our stack view is pinned to each anchor for the safe area with no constant, like no padding or anything like that. We can run our code now. Let it do its thing. And now you can see our stack view looks slightly different, and that's because everything is going edge to edge of the safe area. However, let's change the axis of our stack view. All right. And so we can get rid of vertical. And we can say horizontal. So we can save that, run our code again. And here we are. So you can see all 12 colors are in fact there, but the bars are, the views, whatever you want to call them, are a lot thinner now because right now it's in portrait mode. If we change it to landscape, it's going to look different again, but the width of each view is going to be a little bit wider because we're in landscape, right? So that pretty much does it for this video on UIStackView. Thank you all so very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.